What's up, y'all? So recently I've been reading the 23rd Psalm, but there's also a book that goes with it. It's called A Shepherd Looks at the 23rd Psalm. Basically in the book, it's a shepherd explaining what it means to lay down in green pastures, and basically breaks down the 23rd Psalm as David is writing it. He writes this book from a perspective of actually herding sheep and actually having to look after them and doing what a shepherd actually does. So he is able to break down what David is explaining in Psalms a lot differently because he actually was there, if that makes sense. So there's a few things I kind of wanted to point out and highlight that I thought were really good and really important. You know, this 23rd Psalm cuts a lot deeper than we think because you don't really understand it. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of just end up saying things out of routine, or you read the Bible out of routine, but you don't really understand the magnitude of what David is explaining in Psalms 23. So the shepherd basically in this passage is explaining that when he got his first 30 ewes, his neighbor reminded him that he would need to take his knife and mark them, right? So basically during this time, when you're marking a sheep, you're basically marking them and letting people know that you own these sheep, right? And it's also for you to understand the distinction because you know that you have marked these sheep, and basically you would do it by their ear and you would lay them on a brick board, and then you would cut with a knife, basically a painful process to let people know and yourself know that these are my sheep, you know, these are my people, this is my group, this is my flock. Like, but that was the distinction, right? Very painful, very rough, and honestly pretty cruel to read. But when you understand why he's doing it, it kind of makes you think about the Lord and how he marks you and how it's a painful process that we have to go through to understand that Christ really is our shepherd. And I thought it was really cool, and I thought it was really interesting because although the process was very painful, and what the shepherd was expressing in the text is that he didn't really want to do it. He knew that he had to do it. He knew that when he got the 30 sheep that this was something he was going to have to do, but he dreaded that process, right? He didn't want to do that. He wished that the sheep would just kind of follow him and kind of take after his lead, but that's not how sheep are. Sheep are helpless. Sheep can't do anything on their own. They can't sleep. They can't run. They don't know where to go. They can't do anything. They can't eat. They can't operate on their own. They need a shepherd to give them guidance on what it is that they are supposed to do in order to live in the fresh grass or in the gate or wherever, but they need a shepherd. They need help, but it comes with a cruel process. So although you may be excited about the sheep, or you may be excited, there's still a cruel process that the shepherd has to do in order to mold the sheep to understand that these are mine, right? To understand that these are my people. This is my group. This is my flock. And I thought it was really cool because when you think about your walk with Christ, it is painful, right? We are set up for failure. And I was talking with some of my buddies. We are literally bound to fail because of sin that is in the world. Like, you are bound to struggle. You are bound to fall. You are bound to ultimately just miss the mark because of sin that is in the world. But there's a process, right? There's a marking process that the Lord is doing, right? So we read all these verses about take up your cross and follow me, or deny yourself and seek me, or seek first the kingdom and all these things will be given unto you. But we fail to recognize that there is a painful process where the Lord is marking you, right? There's a painful process where the Lord has to prune you and do some things to you so that you know that you are his, right? Because a lot of times we live this life as if it's our own. But if you read Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. It didn't say you created your own life. It didn't say you created your own plan. Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you. So there's so many verses that kind of support that this life isn't our own, but there is a process that you have to go through to be marked, so you understand that the shepherd is the one that is really calling the shots, right? The shepherd is the one that is really leading you. The shepherd is the one that is going to be beside you. The shepherd is the one that's encouraging you, right? Because we are sheep, and just like sheep, we can't do anything on our own, so we need a shepherd who can lead us. But we're going to have to be marked. We're going to have to go through a painful process. We're going to have to go through a little setback. We're going to have to go through a little frustration, maybe a little pain, maybe a few heartbreak. You know, we're going to have to go through a little bit so that we understand that the Lord really is our shepherd. I'll see you guys soon.